Well, good morning, everyone. We come with another episode of Wickedly Yours, personal, unheard, and unknown, with one of a personality who I've so loved to interact with and who inspires me every time I meet her. Mrs. Seetha Murthy, Director Education of the Silver Oaks International Schools, Hyderabad, Bangalore, and Vizag. Welcome to the show, Mrs. Murthy.
Thank you very much. It's my absolute pleasure to be here.
It's actually so wonderful for both of us, me and Maitri, that you have agreed to be part of our show
Absolutely.
and be part of this inaugural kind of a talk show. So, without taking too much time and without boring our viewers any further, we'll just delve into it. A question which has always been on my mind, but for my books, I've not been able to ask you that because it was not relevant at that point of time. But it is for my show. You're from a services background
Right.
and you're in a leadership role for a long time now.
Very true.
So, how does the services background and leadership role does it help to be in the services and then be in a leadership role, or is it complementary? Is it the stepping stone for that? What do you say?
I would certainly say complementary. And two things, the exposure and the discipline of living in as a service officer's wife. Okay. The discipline that we naturally develop comes of great use in this leadership role that I am in right now. And the exposure. Exposure, when I say that you're moving from place to place in different parts of the country, you're meeting different people, you get to understand the socio-economic, cultural factors of this country, which in itself is a great strength for a leader. That you understand the socio-economic, cultural factors of the country, and that will give you the strength to do what you're doing in the role. So for me, I think it's a great advantage having been in the Air Force as an Air Force officer's wife and seeing the country from a different light, and that comes of great use to me in my current role as leader.
Fantastic. So, when you are in this particular role, what would be one influence from your services background that you have brought, which you are so very happy to bring into your school environment?
So two things I'd say. One is being on time. Time, respecting time, being on time, doing everything on time. The second thing is respect for the country, integrity. Okay, that at the end of the day, the amount of respect you have for your mother is the same thing as how you respect your country. So I could achieve these two things in all our campuses. You'll be surprised if I say like in our Hyderabad campus where we have 3,300 students, anywhere the national song, national anthem is playing in whatever position one may be, the driver, cleaner, raya, or the student or that little fellow in pre-primary, they'll stand in attention because they've been taught that when we are rendering the national song or the national anthem, we stand in attention, respecting the country. So these two things I carried from the Air Force to my school.
Wow, that's
Amazing.
great. Absolutely.
So, the services, the leadership role, and you as a parent and a mother. What is the role you like best?
All three. All three because they made me who I am today. Because being a mother, I was a mother at a very young age. So actually I grew up with my daughter. And there's so many things I learned from her. So many things I learned to be a mother of a young little girl growing up in Kendri Vidyalayas. Because Kendri Vidyalayas, as you know very well, are mini Indias.
Yes.
A classroom is a mini India. And it felt very good when I saw my daughter growing up to be an Indian among so many diverse classmates that she had over there, and the kind of respect she had for her classmates, irrespective of who they were. So I learned that as a mother. And as an Air Force officer, as I already said, being on time, respecting the country, having integrity at all times. And the other part of it is being well turned out at all times.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
important. Absolutely. Yeah, that's so important.
Teaches you that have a nice house.
Yes.
Make sure that your house is so warm that anybody who comes home feels
Walks
welcome.
in, yeah.
And always dress well, so that you feel good about it, not to impress somebody, but you feel very good about it.
Absolutely.
These are the things I would say.
My background is also from the army, but I just wanted to know because when I was there as a young child growing up, there was always this rivalry between the Air Force and the army. Do you feel it was there when you were there as a service officer's wife?
So I heard the jokes all right, more than the rivalry. So one, very well in the army, you have a lot of manpower. You have the Johnnies floating around everywhere in your house, and manpower is the greatest advantage. So we in the Air Force used to talk. आपका क्या है आर्मी में तो बहुत सारे लोग मिलते हैं काम
True.
करने के लिए.
Yeah.
Okay, and it is always said that Navy is the poor brother.
Yes, yes.
They don't get to travel as much as the Air Force does. The Air Force doesn't get to travel as much as the Army does. So the jokes, the lighter side of it, but rivalry, not so much. No. But mutual respect was
Always
highly
there.
evident.
Always there. Yeah.
But it's such a privileged life, I must say, being in the armed forces of the country, that you feel you are a privileged citizen and
Absolutely.
a responsible citizen. So that-
Oh, have you been interacting? I'm sure you have been with the present setup in the services and the one that was there earlier.
Yeah.
And when I've met your team, there are several you said and told me were from the services background. So do you feel there is now a difference between our times then and our times now?
Yeah. So back then, when I was in the Air Force, maybe a decade plus now, the officers' wives were feeling more responsible to support the spouse, support the husband, and being active in the social life and taking part in every event that the Air Force Welfare Association was organizing. So we gave more importance to being an officer's wife than being an individual, a lady by oneself. I do see the current generation, which is rightly so, that they want to distribute their time between being an officer's wife and being a professional or an individual, which I greatly appreciate and respect. I do see that their profession is also taking larger importance than being the spouse of a defense officer. But however, I have many of them working in my school now because we send a school bus to the Air Force Academy. The kind of cosmopolitan touch they bring to this profession or the exposure that they give to their students in the class, for me that is very valuable.
True. Quite true. So the thing is that your daughter has grown up in the thing, and I believe last time when you were here, you did mention that she was in the social sector doing some work there.
Yeah.
So how did that happen with your daughter?
Okay, how did it happen?
Or was it easier because she was, the daughter of Air Force officers?
Okay, no, how did it happen? It's very interesting how it happened with my daughter. She did her MBA in finance and got campus selection, went into a big pharma giant. She was doing very well as a project lead, and they sent her to deliver some projects in different parts of the world. After 2.5 years, she felt that this is not my dream. I'm not living my dream. So it so happened that we got her a camera, a high-end camera, because she thought she wants to explore photography, and she started getting into wildlife photography. And a few projects later, she realized that I don't want to do this job, which is not my dream. And then she started working for the Crop Bank in Mahabalipuram. She went to do a project with the UN, and she was working with an Irula tribe. That Irulas are known to extract the poison from snakes without killing them. Okay, and you need that to maintain the ecological balance. Okay, but because these guys were giving up their native trade and going into various jobs like mechanics, plumbing, electrician, and if you lose this native trade, you cause an ecological imbalance. So she worked on helping them manage both, balance both.
Both, okay.
While this may not give you enough income, that is also essential to earn money, but you need to maintain this native trade that you have. it is during that project, I think, that she discovered that she wants to work at a policy level more than, hand-holding a few projects. And that's when she applied for a PhD in ecology economics. So she's on the verge of completing it now.
Wow.
So she
No,
worked a lot with the tribes in Kutch area, Gujarat. And people who are between India and Pakistan. Some of them are neither here nor
Not
there.
there.
So in all these endeavors, I think she explored that she needs to be working for the social sector, but at a policy level. So that's why her PhD is around ecology economics.
Okay. Wow.
Oh, that's
Wow.
nice.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
And like your reference to the services background come up quite often, or is it just your education work that is?
No, that's a good question you asked. I have to tell you this. So one of her postings, my husband went to National Defence College in Delhi as the staff officer to the commandant. So NDC in India is meant for training senior level officers from all the services within India, outside India, from 20 different countries. Officers from group captain or brigadier level come to India for 10 months to take training in national defense. Okay. So that is where we got, otherwise being in defense, you don't really interact so much with foreigners. Okay. But that was one place where we got a lot of exposure, interacting with people from other countries. That gave another perspective to life that, the belief systems that we hold on to or the cultures that we believe to be sacrosanct can be different and yet be meaningful. So from there came the cultural, I would say, diversity in my thoughts. And whenever I traveled abroad, of course, the other credit I should give to is the IB. That when they have taken up the IB
Yes,
in our
yes,
school,
yeah.
it talks about international mindedness, that
yeah.
other people with their differences can also be right. Okay. So these two things help me whenever I travel to 12 different countries.
Wow.
Okay, 7 times to Singapore. And when you meet people with multiple nationalities also, some of them may have been, third culture people. It helped me a lot to find a common thread between me and them and learn something from them. So from the National Defence College to the IB, both taught me international mindedness, I would say.
Lovely. I remember years back when I was with the school, well, my director would always say that you're different, Anjali, because of the exposure you have. But in a scenario which you work in schools and everything, where you may not be having staff members who have that kind of exposure that you might want for them to offer to the children, how do you bring that into your work culture? How is it difficult, or has it to be cultivated? How
I'll
does
use the word challenge. Okay, it is not, nothing is difficult. If you really want to do something, go
You
back
can,
and
yeah,
look at you. You keep exploring different things because you want to do things differently and meaningfully. It's the same thing with me. I never felt that it is difficult, but it required 24/7. Okay, and it required all my energies and all my positivity to help my team to see beyond themselves, beyond the cultures that they live in. But then it's a beautiful experience when you help people see things differently. That other people with their differences can also be right. Because we in India are so biased.
Yes.
Anything and everything. Okay, the moment somebody is talking differently, dressing differently, eating differently,
true.
no, you have a bias. Oh, ye wo hai, and all that stuff. So, but it took a long time. I won't say these kind of things don't happen overnight. So it took a long time, but it's a very satisfying experience.
I'm
To
sure.
help them migrate to a different thought process that somebody else also can be right. Think well.
So
Absolutely.
I think your team would know you as one Mrs. Seetha Murthy,
Yeah.
as a team, a leader. How should we know you, and how should our viewers know you?
Somebody who's very happy, positive about everything in life. I'm always trying to find my own nirvana. In everything
That's
that I do.
great.
Fantastic.
That's
Yes.
absolutely.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So, one sentence to describe you in just a sentence.
Be the change you wish to see in the world.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Mrs. Murthy. It's been a pleasure interacting
you.
with you,
Yeah.
and on a different level, because these were some of the questions that always came to my mind when I was interacting with you for my earlier books. And it's lovely that I could get the opportunity to talk to you about it.
And this was definitely not what you normally do when you are in school with her.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
True.
So it's my privilege, my pleasure being here with the two of you. And I enjoyed everything that you asked me and answered it.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
It was lovely talking.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Murthy, and we'd just like to thank you from the bottom of our hearts with a
For coming and being with us.
yes, and with a small curated
Yeah.
thing that me and Murthy have put together.
Awesome. I love
From
this.
Wickedly Yours.
I love this. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you very much.
And my copies of my recent book, Wickedlyours, for all your other branches.
Thank you so much. Thank you very, very much. I loved reading this book. By the way. I loved looking at the pictures. So it was so very enticing. Thank you.
And the fact that, the fact that you've all painted them, I mean, all the illustrations were
That's the beautiful
hand
part
painted.
of it.
Yeah, and the thing is that I was just waiting for these new copies to come up because somehow my publisher, because I rushed him through
Yes,
so many
I know.
things,
Yeah.
so he forgot to write that the illustrations had been done by me.
Yeah, that's
and
missing in the book.
and someone suggested, actually my dad and another person, that I should have the real life of the Munchkins and the painted ones.
Acha.
So the last page has been added. So I was just
lovely.
waiting for those copies to come to hand it
Then,
over to
yeah,
Yes,
okay.
yeah. So that's why I got a little delayed in sending you
I
that.
wanted to order them for my school library.
Yeah, that is of course you can be done, but this is for your branches. And I
Thank
hope
you
the
so
principals
much.
would like it as well.
Thank you.